Hello, everybody. This is DFS Chan coming to you here on January 30th to talk about tonight or tomorrow morning's League of Legends DFS slate. It's a 4-game slate. We have 2 games from China and 2 games from Korea. Um, it's what's tomorrow? Wednesday. This week has gone by. I hope you guys are having a good week so far. But yeah, I mean, we have a 4-game slate starting tonight for the rest of the week. So it's very exciting. Um, I plan to make videos for, almost every 4-game, 5-game slates, if I can. So thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That would be very much appreciated. But yeah, without any further ado, let's dive in. We have Rare Atom versus Invictus Gaming, and then Ninjas in Pajamas versus JDG. JDG, I'll talk about this in a little bit, but JDG, has started the LPL season a little bit later than every other team, really. I think there were some issues. I forgot what it was, some technical issues that they just could not participate, on schedule with other LPL teams. So we have the reason I point that out is not only we just haven't seen enough of JDG's form, but also we have data now for these 3 teams, RA, IG, and NIP, that we can somewhat rely on. Ideally, for me at least personally, I like the data that has been accumulated probably over the span of 2 to 3 weeks. That's like my minimum, at least, to, I would say, reliable, because then by that point, these teams have played against good teams and bad teams. So, those stats and metrics kind of even out on average, which, we really are aiming for, when it comes to data analysis and looking at comparisons. So given all of that, I already took a look at all the stats and everything. So this video will be a lot more efficient compared to previous videos. I think that helps everybody out, I think. So hopefully you guys like, the efficiency of this video. And I'll share my notes here that I otherwise share in the premium section of TrueDFS website. So if you are a premium member of TrueDFS, this is what you would see. Something like this. And obviously on top of this, I will share, I usually make my favorite plays, favorite stacks, and then also favorite bets. Those bettors out there that like to bet on props or straight ups and all that. So, I just wanted to get you. I just wanted you got to see like what kind of content that I put out in the True DFS channel and premium section. So I won't be sharing this every video, but I just wanted to, show you this because some people have been asking about it. So if you're interested, go to truedfs.com and become a premium member, and you'll see these types of written contents for every other slate. So, all right. So I'll talk about these notes here in a little bit, but I think they're helpful. Some people found these notes helpful. I did this last year as well. Just to kind of measure the kill upside and the advantages that these teams have in respective roles and lanes and all that. So I think it was helpful. So I want to continue doing it, but I am gonna post it in the premium section of TrueDFS. So go check it out after this. All right, so let's dive into the matchup analysis. So Rare Atom versus IG is an interesting one. Based on the Vegas odds, we have a toss-up, basically, pick 'em at minus 135 in favor of RA, slight favorite, versus Invictus Gaming at slight underdog at plus 105. This is an interesting one. I mean, Rare Atom has been horrible and IG has been pretty bad as well, but now they have a new 80 carry. New 80 carry, I say, because On really had started. Like he was a starter last year for IG for a very long time. He got benched, before the new season started 3 weeks ago. Xiao Yuji was starting until last series for IG. An came in that series as a substitute, and now he's starting at 80 carry. So there's a little bit of a roster change, and obviously that affects continuity and so forth. But, like I said, he played on this team last year, and he knows the system. He has played with most of these teammates before. So I'm not too worried about the chemistry and all that. It's really, we got to focus on. I think the thing we need to focus on for him is really his form. Now it was really unfair to him that they subbed him in. Uh, you know, I think they subbed him in against what was it? Against NIP. Ninjas in Pajamas is a good team, so I thought it was really not fair for him to be subbed in and make it, expect to make an immediate impact, right? But now he's starting. I do think he's a little bit better than Xiao Yuji. I mean, like they're about the same skill level in my opinion. I actually thought Xiao Yuji actually played pretty well, given his skill upside and all that to begin the season. But On was a lot more consistent last year over the span of last year, which is a very long sample. I actually thought he was not too shabby. So I think it's a slight upgrade, maybe. I do think his teammates probably prefer to play with him, just given how long they played together last year. Now, in terms of the matchup here against RA, um, I think it's a toss-up. Like I looked at the stats, as you will see here. Let me zoom this in. Maybe you can see. But actually, I don't need to zoom in. Okay, I can see it on the screen. So RA. Let's see. First of all, in the lane control percentage, I see RA has an advantage there, which is minimal. But then you go to the jungle control percentage, IG has a huge advantage at plus 10%. I mean, that is really big. That tells me many things, but a few of the main things that I want to talk about, given that big advantage in favor of IG, is that so like in my head, what I'm thinking is IG's jungler that much better than RA? Then I go to the individual skill metric for earned golds per minute, EGPM metric for the junglers. And you see IG's jungler Tianjin is better than Nayu by 29 earned gold per minute. So that, um, is assuring if I were to pick IG to win. And then you go to look at the lane comparisons, see where each team has an advantage. I saw that I think every single lane really favors IG. So, and then I'm like, well, who has IG played against, right? Like I'm looking at the match history. Have they only played against bad teams? Is that why their metrics are padded for the team, for the individual matchups? So I actually went to go see who they played against. IG played against Ultra Prime, who has been so bad. I think this morning they played Doggo was just he played Ramus at 80 carry. I get like I get the thinking, I guess the thought process behind picking that champion at 80 carry with Yumi. Like I get it if they have other carry champions on that team and that composition, but Doggo has been dog shit the last couple years since he came over from PCS. I do not like that guy, and Ultra Prime really has fallen down quite a bit over the last 2 years since he joined. And then, so yeah, so that's a long way of saying I'm not here to talk about UP. I'm here to talk about IG. So IG beat them, and it's not that of an impressive win. If you think about it like that, and then you see that they also played against NIP, they lost, but NIP is a good team. Like I said, I'll talk about them here in the next matchup against JDG. But NIP is a good team. I really think they are a playoff team. And IG lost against them. But even with that loss and with the win against UP, their metrics are good. Like their metrics are overall are good. It's not like they that tells me they just did not, roll over. NIP did not roll over IG. IG actually put up a decent team fight and metrics against NIP individually and so forth. So yeah, I mean that's a long way of saying I really like the metrics in favor of IG here tonight. I know they're an underdog. I do think I do want to point out that Rare Atom, on the other hand, lost against JDG, who which is probably the best team in the LPL. Just future uh, thinking. I mean, JDG, we haven't seen enough, like I said earlier in the video, we haven't seen enough of them yet because they've only played one series against RA. But still, we're expecting JDG to finish top 3 and so forth based on their performance last year and the year before. So that, I mean, RA was expected to lose that game. Let's put it that way. And then they lost against Weibo Gaming, which is a decent team. I mean, I know the Shy is gone from the top lane. It's a kind of a new team and new identity and so forth. But still, like I think Weibo Gaming, I consider them above average in the LPL. I think they're above the gatekeeper team, and they, obviously finished really strong late in the season last season. So I think just given them momentum coming into the season, even without the Shy, I think they were expected to do pretty well in the LPL. So yeah, I mean, RA lost to 2 pretty good teams. So like maybe RA's stats, we shouldn't take too much of a dock, on their inferior metrics that we have here. So yeah, just given all of that, I think it's a toss up at the end of the day. I do think it's not a coincidence that IG leads EGPM in every single lane, including jungle, mid, and top. I kind of see as IG's lost against NIP equivalent to RA's lost against JDG because both JDG and NIP teams are pretty good. So just with that thinking process, I think I'm gonna pick IG to win. Like I said, I think it's a toss up, but I'm leaning IG to pull off an upset over RA, depending on how On integrates with the rest of the team and how soon his form comes back up after a delayed start for IG at 80 carry over Xia OUG. So yeah, I think I like IG. I mean, I know I think IG is also gonna be from a DFS game theory standpoint. I think IG is gonna be a popular underdog that most people will pick, just because this is the closest matchup that we have on the slate, and many people just like IG and Victus Gaming. Period. They love to play IG stacks, just historically. Um, So yeah. So maybe the ownership will be higher than expected for IG stacks, IG players. But we'll see. Yeah, and then lastly, the sub risk I'll talk about. Like I said, On is starting, and I think it's a big transition big decision that the coaches have made already, to start to go back to to go back to On at 80 carry over Xiao Yuji after starting Xiao Yuji for the first, 2 series, really. So I think it's pretty safe to say On's gonna continue at 80 carry, even if they lose game 1. I think the sub risk is low, fairly low. In terms of the kill upside, I think the Vegas over under is set at 25, which is the highest on the slate among the 4 games. So obviously that naturally makes both of these teams good to stack. Um, you know, in particular, like the long stack, if you are looking for that edge compared to other games. And CKPM kind of confirms that somewhat, I think, compared to the other LPL matchup. But like I said, we're only like 4 or 5 games in, depending on how many games these teams have played. So really, this is based on the minimal sized sample. So I wouldn't rely on that. I would at this point, I would rely more on the Vegas odds compared to CKPM. And then just based on the eye test, if they like to initiate team fights and so forth. And really, neither of these teams likes to, at least early in the game. I know in the mid game, I think I have seen IG quite a bit to kind of get back into the game by initiating team fights and side lanes and so forth. Um, and I think that's why their CKPM is up a little bit. And they also played against Ultra Prime and NIP, who has been aggressive. Like NIP's is at 0.82. So as you can see, I mean they're the same, exactly the same. So I think it really matters who they have played against so far that likes to dictate their jungle and pace of the game, which NIP was in that matchup. So just take it with a grain of salt. The next matchup of the LPL games is NIP, like I said, versus JDG. JDG is a sizable favorite at minus 280. I think they deserve it, just given how well they have been playing. But going back to last year, right? So there was a big gap of off season. They bring in a new top laner, Flandre, um, who has been okay. I think who was okay in the first series. Like I said, JDG has only played 1 series, and it was against RA. So I think for what it's worth, if you think RA is good, that was an impressive win. If you think RA is bad, maybe it was a good warm-up series for JDG starting the season. I think RA is pretty bad. Um, I think it was just like a warm-up matchup for JDG. But yeah, I don't know if they deserve these odds. Maybe I think they do. Like I said, just given how well they've been playing against with this team, except for the top laner, the continuity, and the form that they were in, I think it makes sense. But at the same time, like I said, on the other side of the matchup, NIP has been playing really well. Like Aki, rookie, both of these guys have been playing well, and I'll show you in the EGPM metric that I usually look at. And everybody, especially, I mean, Aki and rookie, but Shanji and Fotik as well, they've been playing really well. You see EGPM, jungler support, mid laner, top laner, they all have high or EGPM compared to JDG's counterparts. But like I said, JDG's data is solely based on their matchup against RA, so it's not. We're not really comparing apples to apples. I think JDG is an exception for the first here this week and next week. I think after these next couple weeks, I think we'll have a sizable sample for JDG. We can compare their stats compared to other teams in the LPL. All right. So yeah, and then I took a look at like a lane control percentage, jungle control percentage, which Kanavi has been playing pretty well, for that team. But you see, Aki actually has been individually performing pretty well. He uh, has been a lot more aggressive than previously, which is a big step up in this current meta. That he really needs to do that. He needs to help out his teammates and so forth, and he has done that so far. And he's done that against LGD and IG. LGD, I'm not, I think LGD actually has been in pretty good form. I mean, I know they had a game this morning, but overall to begin the season, they actually exceeded my expectations for that team LGD. And then NIP won against IG as well. Like I said, IG stats are pretty good overall. Still, even with that loss against NIP. So NIP actually, I thought they played pretty well against IG. Um, so yeah, NIP is not a scrub team. Like I think they can definitely pull this off. If things sway their way a little bit early game. And Kanavi versus Aki is a huge individual matchup. I think that Aki really should handle if NIP were to have a chance to win this game. And just based on the recent form, I think Aki may be able to do that. Ultimately, I'm going to pick JDG, but I think I'm not as confident as the Vegas odds indicate. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Um, but who knows what kind of form JDG's in? Like I said, this is their second series of the season, whereas NIP has already played 2 series. So this is their 3rd series. So they have a better team chemistry, supposedly, compared to JDG's. And like I said, their jungler has been playing pretty well, which was a question mark coming into this season for NIP, for me at least. Let's see. Total kills over under 24. CKPM, like I said, 1.33. And JDG, even though it's at 0.51 after playing against RA, and JDG dictated that game, but it was their first series of the season. So they were playing a little bit more conservatively, and then they got behind, I think, at one or 2 points in game 2. So JDG kind of had to play a little bit slowly, more slowly than usual. And I just wanted to say that in the context of last year, because last year, if you remember, I think JDG had the fastest or one of the fastest CKPM in the LPL. Let's look. Yeah, so you see that last summer, I mean, this is over what 36 games played for them, and they were the top 2 in the kill pace. So you see 0.95, and it was more. I mean, it was mostly driven by their jungler and their AD carry in the mid. I mean, it doesn't really matter even if they got a new top laner. I think they'll play exactly at the same pace that they did last year, and really gave them the success that they experienced by winning MSI, by winning LPL, even though they did not win the Worlds and complete the accomplishments. They their high aggression and initiation and willingness to start team fights and just better team fighting skills as a team really catapulted them to be able to have that kind of a success that they had last year. So I fully expect them to have one of the higher CKPMs this year as well. So I do think that number at 0.51 for JDG after the first game will definitely come up quite a bit, actually. I mean, so I actually think this will be higher in kills. I think it's going to be higher than 24. So yeah, this definitely has a kill upside. Definitely has a good kill upside. Better kill upside than the numbers indicate, given JDG's historic CKPM with 4 out of 5 players returning from last season. So I do think, I mean, both LPL games today have high kill upside. I don't blame you for making any of these long stacks of your choice. I do think both of these games, LPL games today, are the ones that you should focus on compared to the Korean games, which I think will be much lower in kills. So yeah, we'll talk about the Korean games here in a little bit. But before I do that, I'll pause there, see if anybody has any questions, and I'll take a look at the chat. Let's see. Can I show you a Sims for this slate? I actually don't use Sims. I know other folks on TrueDFS and Saber, they use the Sims function and all that. So feel free to join us in the TrueDFS Discord and ask that question in our Discord channel for esports. I'm sure they will be more than happy to answer that question for you. I actually entirely hand build my my lineups. I only play like 2 or 3 at max. So that's kind of where I do the best. That's where I take pride, probably unnecessary pride in doing so, hand building stuff. But so far it's earned me League of Legends Worlds qualifiers, the big tournament qualifier ticket so far. Hopefully I can rack up a few more here before the end of the season. So we'll see. What's up, Jolly? Welcome back. And Riri, I feel like I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. Yeah, I mean, if you are playing any of the underdogs, I think you know, that's the norm. I mean, on a 4-game slate like this, yeah, I mean, you want to take your chances. You want to play some underdogs. And there are some question marks for the favorites here. Like I said, JDG, this is their second series, so they could be rusty. And NIP has been playing pretty well in those games that they've played so far. Like I said, IG's metrics are better after 2 games, respectively. Both of these teams played against. So I think they're both definitely playable. So it's not a problem. Now, in terms of the LCK matchups, is what I'm going to talk about now. So let's talk about those here. But before I do that, please remind you, hit the like button, and that would help me a lot. So I appreciate it. KDF is a big underdog at plus 365, and I'll tell you why I disagree with that completely. I know D plus Kia is a huge favorite at minus 600, and I think a lot of people will play DK today. A lot of people like playing D plus Kia players, period. I don't know if it's like a historic thing or they just like the acronym for the team. But historically, like looking at the past data from last year, D plus Kia stacks were one of the most popular LCK stacks other than T1 stacks last year. So we'll see if that continues this year. And they are a huge favorite, almost the as big of a favorite as KT and the other LCK matchup. But I disagree with the odds. Like I took a look at all the stats. I watched some of the highlights of DK and KDF. I think the question mark really resides with this guy, Lucid. And you know how I feel about the junglers and the jungling position for League of Legends, right? So that is the question mark. That is the ultimate question mark. I think these teams go as their junglers go. That is the most important position for League of Legends, in my opinion. Lucid has been up and down for D plus Kia. And I saw the metrics as well, and metrics support the data as well. You see jungle EGPM because the jungler for KDF is actually up on Lucid by plus 16. And I forgot to tell you before I wanted to dive into this LCK matchup. LCK has played a lot. These teams in the LCK have played a lot more games compared to the LPL teams. Not only they started earlier compared to LPL, but LCK has fewer teams in the league, so that these teams are playing more games against each other compared to the LPL. So that also means that translates to we have more data. We have more data that's medianed out a little bit over the larger sample size. So it's more of a reliable data compared to the LPL data. So given all of that, I put more. So then, I put more emphasis on the metrics for LCK matchups. And you see KDF has a higher jungler EGPM, Cuz over Lucid. And that was very surprising to find out, actually. But Kwangdong Freaks actually has been playing pretty well lately, right? I think it was the last slate that they were on. Everyone wanted to flock and get on the KDF bandwagon. I think they were playing against maybe one of the worst teams, maybe DRX. And ever since they started this new 80 carry in Bull, KDF actually has been playing pretty well, not going to lie. Ever since Taeyun got benched and then Bull has got the starting nod. They've been winning a lot more games compared to obviously the first series that they had. And they have not only have they been winning games, but they have also looked much better in terms of team fights because Cuz really plays better with an 80 carry that's a lot more aggressive and wants to make plays because Cuz really pushes when when he engages and so forth, he really pushes it to the brink of where he's expecting his teammates to follow through with him. And that really was the case in the first series that they played in, where Taeyun was a lot more hesitant, a lot more conservative. When he was supposed to dive in with Cuz, he did not do that. And like I said, in this meta, it's really the bottom lane that really needs to play well in addition to the jungler, because the mid laners, due to the map changes on the Summoner's Rift, there's a lot more space. It's a lot more visibility in the mid lane and the top lane. So it's really hard for the junglers to make an impact in the mid lane and the top lane. So they tend to go to the bottom lane where there's a lot more team fights that happen, in those bottom lanes now in the current meta. So that requires a lot of the team synergy and chemistry and consistency on the part of the 80 carries and supports for these teams, along with the junglers, right? So that I think the fact that Bull has been playing a lot more aggressively, just like Cuz, really has worked out for KDF. So I fully expect Bull to continue to start, as long as they keep winning, right? So. And like I said, the metrics for KDF, just given all of that context, look pretty good. I mean, the EGPMs for the laners, KDF actually has a superior EGPM in jungle, support, mid, and top lane. The only lane that D plus Kia has an advantage of, which is by a lot though, aiming, has been playing lights out. I know he got the first pentakill of the LCK season. But that's the only lane. But that is an important lane. Like aiming made a lot of plays later in games for DK, and that can totally happen. That can totally happen for DK and make a huge difference. And that can flip a game on its head. And aiming can do that, and he is talented enough to do that after moving his team from KT to DK this off season. Showmaker has been playing well as well in the mid lane, but surprisingly, this is very, as well as Showmaker has been playing, his EGPM is still not as high as Bulldog's, which was very, very shocking to me. I surely thought DK would have an advantage in the mid lane as well, but KDF actually does. If you look at the stats, and I'll show you as a good example if you don't believe me. I'll show you here. D plus Kia, Guangdong Freaks, mid lane. This is where I go to get the data. Yeah, I mean, you see Bulldog has a 310 EGPM, whereas Showmakers is at 298. So, and like I said, that's over the size of a 9 and 10 game sample size, right? So that's pretty shocking. I don't know about you guys, but you guys probably heard more of Showmaker compared to Bulldog, right? So yeah, I think based on the eye test and the name value, I think D plus Kia definitely favored by a bigger margin than I think they deserve. I think KDF definitely has a shot tonight to be able to pull off an upset. Um, I think DK has, several metrics that favor them as well, but not as significant, not as significantly as the EGPM comparison that I just talked about. Like you see 0.6% plus 1.9% lane and jungle control percentages. That's really minimal, right? Like that's not that's not anything significant like we talked about for the LPL teams here, but um yeah. So yeah, just given all of that, I went to go see the match history for these teams. KDF had won. They won against Nongshim Red Force, who's been up and down. Not the worst, but pretty bad. KT, pretty good. KT is a good team, and KDF beat them, I think, in 3 games, I believe. And then they lost against the top tier teams in T1 and HLE. HLE, I wouldn't call it a top team. They've been inconsistent, but still a playoff team. T1, obviously the best team in the LCK, or the second best team other than Genji. But KDF, their loss against T1 is not, you know, not too bad. And then on the other side, DK had, they won against Fred or OK Savings Breon, um, Nongshim Red Force, and then lost to KT and Genji, both really good teams. So yeah, I mean DK beat the bad teams. Worst were the teams that they are expected to beat, and then they lost against the teams that they are expected to lose. Maybe other than KT. I think DK and KT, I think people kind of expected them to be at the equal level. I think Genji and T1, were in the tier above them. So yeah. So given all of that, I mean, I think the schedule is kind of fair so far. The match history they played against good teams and bad teams overall, but still, like if you look at the stats, KDF. Um, So I would not be confident. So my conclusion is, I would not be confident if I play D plus Kia tonight. I don't know if I want to go as far as play KDF as an underdog, only because here I'll talk about the low kill upside. So that's another thing with LCK matchups. Generally, they have a lower kill upside, and this one I do think will produce much lower kill upside. Only because if you think D plus Kia is going to dictate the jungle, and they may not, but if they do, as a big favorite, and let's say Lucid plays well, even when he plays well, I don't think their CKPM is going to go up that high, just based on how they have played so far over the span of 9 games. So I think I might completely avoid this matchup. I definitely don't think KDF has the kill upside that you need to play as a big underdog. So I'll probably pass on that one, and maybe D plus Kia if I think their kill upside is increased by playing KDF, who likes to play fast at 0.80 CKPM. Maybe, but I think that's still a stretch because, like I said, I fully expect D plus Kia to dictate the jungle and the pace of the game, um, with this advantage there, slight advantage. So I might avoid it. So but then who knows? That's something I just cannot predict. But that's what's projected just based on the numbers, right? All right, last matchup of the day is KT versus Breon. I'll make this one short. All the metrics, all the stats favor KT. That's it. So I think KT wins. I have put down the match history right there as well. In terms of the kill upside, this LCK matchup has a slightly higher CKPM and total kills over under projection. So I definitely think all of those factors make KT a better LCK favorite team to stack tonight over DK. So that is what I'm gonna go with. I think the only thing that could help DK or make a case for DK is, like I said, if KDF pushes DK to initiate and engage in more team fights, and increases the CKPM and the kill upside for DK, just by that, by the sheer fact that they are playing as KDF, who likes to play a little bit faster. I think that is the ultimate silver lining for DK. If you are looking for a reason to play DK, but all other factors really point to KT being a better favorite to stack over DK, for the reasons that I already set out. So yeah, I hope that was helpful and informative. Um, I hope you guys enjoy the video. I know we have, let's see, we have 21 viewers. So thank you so much for watching. Let's go through some questions that people asked. I guess we only had one other question. KT or JDG for kills? That's a good one. If you think JDG will play the way that they last year with the higher kill pace and upside, which I think they will, kind of have to, going up against a good team in NIP, and NIP has been playing fast as well. So I think JDG. I think that's probably an easy answer because they're just an LPL. They're an LPL team compared to KT. But also, OK Savings Breon likes to play very slow. I think I showed you this last video, but I think Fred at Breon had just one of the. I want to show you this real quick before we end the video. So this year, 2024 CKPM, you see Breon is at one of the bottom 3 at 0.60. That is really slow. And I want to show you how bad it was. You think 0.60 is bad. You should see their CKPM last year, which was at 0.59. So they're very consistently low and consistently unfriendly for DFS, DFS, period. So anytime we have a Breon slate, I tend to dodge that match. But Breon's even worse in terms of the talent and the team quality, and skill sets for the players on that team. So I do think Breon is one of the worst teams in the LCK. So I really think it's safe to say KT is going to win this matchup. In terms of kill upside, it is reduced by the fact that Breon likes to play a little bit slower. So yeah, I'm going to go with JDG to answer your question, Jolly. So, all right, next question we have is, would you consider stacking JDG and NIP? I was going to say NIP, which I'm sure that's fine with one off. Yeah, I think JDG and IP is actually probably going to be one of the more popular stacks, I think. Let me see. Oh, JDG and an IP? Oh, the game stack. No. I don't think so. No. And I say that with respect. Like, it's a 4-game slate. So it is very unlikely that a game stack lineup will win or take down the GPP. More than likely, there will be another team from another matchup, and we have 3 other matchups, that will score higher than the losing team of this matchup, right? So there's a lot more variability on a 4-game slate. On a 2-game slate, yeah, I mean, that could totally, it's a totally viable strategy, as you guys know already. But on a 4-game or 5-game slate, I don't think I would go game stack. But it could happen. I mean, like I said, JDG and NIP depends on how fast they like to play. I mean, but JDG games have gone crazy before. But second game in the series, second series or second game in the LPL season, I don't think anything's gonna go that crazy early in the season like this. Maybe when they hit the peak, or the form, and both of these teams, and they both teams have players that are experienced. They're not. I don't think it's gonna turn into a kill fiesta. That we call it. I mean, experienced players on JDG, experienced players on NIP. I don't think it's gonna go that wild compared to other games. All right, I think that's it. We hit the 45-minute mark. If you guys have any other questions, if you guys have questions later, please feel free to reach out to me at DFS Chan. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button. Until then, I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, good luck out there. I hope one of you guys take it down. Have a good one.